right then, let's try this. Nope.
No? Not funny, Bruce. What, you're just gonna kill me? Come on! What is this?
Data!
What do you normally use this chamber for, you psychopath?
Hello and welcome back to A Stark Contrast, where we discuss the differences and similarities from Marvel Comics to their MCU counterparts. And we're your hosts, Geoffrey
and Dai.
Hello.
Hi, Jeff.
Welcome back. You know what's funny? Quick side tangent before we get into it.
Yeah.
I was on a Zoom call with my coworkers, and I was camera off. All of us were camera off, and then I had to respond to something. So I responded,
Yeah.
and then my coworker was like, "Oh my God, Jeff! Like I totally didn't I forgot you were whatever on, and when I heard your voice come up, it sounded like a podcast voice." And I was like, "Oh,
You're like, well,
good to know I got into the right businesses."
drop the link in the chat and tell them to all subscribe. Hello and welcome to Mini Marvel number 6.
Number 6.
Where more or less we talk about the broader Marvel universe and the MCU's hottest topics.
Yes.
Sort of, kind of. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So real quick, well, not real quick really, but so I just came back from, where was I?
con.
Oh yeah, another convention. So I came back from Emerald City Comic-Con in Seattle, Washington. Fantastic show. Love the city.
Yep.
Super duper weird to be back there. I haven't been to that show since I think 2018.
Was it the last time you were in Seattle too, or you've been?
I think so. Yeah,
Oh, wow.
yeah. So
Yeah.
it was nice to get back.
Also, fun fact: Seattle was the last city I went to before the shutdown.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I went in February.
Yeah.
Super Bowl weekend.
Oh, wow.
And then next
then
month, I was like, oh,
Kaput. Yeah. Ooh. Holy smokes. Yeah. It was great to be back. Had a lot of fun there. Got some cool stuff. Yeah. Which is what I'm actually bringing up right now. So yeah, I met artist Rod Rice, who we discussed in the Winter Soldier episode.
You also posted this.
And I posted a picture of this. He is the artist for that Winter Soldier run, and he is the co-creator of Alpine, who fangirly Lily
This looks
asked
so
him for. He used gouache.
What
It's
is that?
paint.
Oh.
It's paint. He used actual paint with a mix of Copic markers for an
Okay.
11 by
Okay.
17 commission. And yeah, he had some good stuff. I was almost gonna just buy a print,
Yeah.
and I just sheepishly
This is so abstract because I was like,
yeah, he's great. He's got this. I mean, you won't know this off the cuff, but for our comic book enthusiasts, he's very much a Bill Sienkiewicz meets Phil Noto sort of style.
I love the mix of paint and marker.
Right,
Because it's
just
whoa.
so good. Yeah, he's fantastic, and I just asked for Winter Soldier with Alpine, and he made it happen. Very, very sweet man. So thanks for that, Rod, if you're out there. I was there with my friend, beautiful and talented Joelle Jones of Wonder Girl and Catwoman fame and Batman fame. We found out we're birthday twins, so that's fantastic.
Oh, that's always a trip to find out
I
someone
know.
who has the same birthday as you.
I was like, this explains so much. Because I just thought oh, she's so cool. She likes the same things I like. That's awesome.
Yeah.
But it started to get to the point where it was we both love Death Becomes Her. Do you know that movie?
No, I don't.
It's from the 90s with Goldie Hawn and
Goldie Hawn.
yeah, it's some good stuff, and she mentioned some other. She's a kind of a horror fan, and she loves to draw scary stuff,
Yeah.
but also beautiful things. And I was like, dude, that's so cool. And then we mentioned, because as one would do in Seattle, I mentioned Nirvana at some point because a bar I went to before I went to go see Pat Benatar had a drink called a cocktail called Smells Like Teen Spirit. And I was like, I had to get it because of Nirvana. And she was like, yeah, me and Kurt Cobain, we had the same birthday. And I was like, I'm sorry, what? And she goes, yeah, February 20th. I was like, dude, that's my birthday too.
Oh.
And it was like the gates of heaven opened up. And we were like,
What?
and then I was like, and Rihanna. And she goes, really? I said, oh yeah. And she goes, we got a good group. So hi to Joelle, who said that she's going to subscribe to our show now that she knows about it. So
Yay.
holla.
Welcome.
Yeah. And then a shout out to some new friends I made. The Fan Addict podcast.
Yes.
So give those guys a listen.
Yeah.
They've been really great. Met them at the show as well. They got a quick remark from Joelle of Catwoman herself. And so if you love Batman and you're a Bat fan, follow that show.
Nice.
And I'll link them in and I'll link them in the show notes as well. And then this is kind of funny. So Corrections Corner on myself once again. So not only did we fail to mention Eric Selvig in our Jane Foster episode. That's a big poo-poo on especially me at least. But like we didn't talk about him at all.
We didn't?
We didn't.
I swear we
like
did.
Maybe his pantslessness, but we didn't. we didn't do like a yeah, like, but that's like, but that's not the problem. The problem is that I called Carl Urban Keith Urban.
Oh. Oi.
the singer. Yeah, and he is not married to Nicole Kidman. So Carl Urban is Billy Butcher on The Boys, not Keith Urban.
Well, good
the
thing
Australian.
we didn't get canceled over that.
By the Boys fans. Oi. And in less embarrassing news, happy to share we're now streaming on even more podcasting platforms, which is I know is news to you, Jeff. But I got this great notification very recently.
Wow.
So we are now additionally, in addition to the ones that we're on currently, we are now available on Deezer, Podcast Index, Pod Hero, Pod News, Podcast Addict, Podbean, Podvine, TuneIn, and Samsung Podcasts.
Why is there so many
Pod
platforms?
I do not know. But we're on all of them. So that's cool.
Someone just took the word pod and then added a random word after.
I honestly, I have no idea. I haven't even heard of most of them.
If
I
there's
will
people
take
that
it.
listen to it on those platforms, go for it.
I will take it. Yeah, because the Samsung podcast, for instance, those are the ones that come in cars. So I'm like, let's go.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so maybe they're different, I don't know, streaming platforms for different phones and apparatuses and mechanical thingamajigs.
Sure.
So there's that. Yeah, and so I think that's everything, at least on the surface level, and we can jump into our fun news. So Spider-Man No Way Home returns to theaters September 2nd. Did you get a ticket? Or am I getting you a ticket?
I have not yet.
Do you want me to get you a ticket?
I think you're good right now.
Okay.
I'll figure something. There's actually a lot of movies that I need to see in theaters.
Same.
And I'm just like, I'm just lazy. I'm just lazy. And I'm like, oh, I have to go.
I can't find time. Like, it's tough for me. Well, at least right now. I was going to see Nope and Top Gun Maverick while in Seattle. And then I decided to do Seattle things. I was like, why am I going to go see a movie while I'm traveling? So maybe when I come back from Toronto.
I still need to see the Train movie with Brad Pitt and
we just saw that. We just saw that last week. Oh, so like my dear friend Andrew is actually in the room as well.
Woo!
Trying not to listen. But we just saw Bullet Train.
Oh
my gosh. Loved it.
It's good.
Loved it.
Okay.
So good. The cameos are exquisite. Oh. The storytelling is exquisite. It's really good.
Who's the director again?
Shoot. We
can Corrections Corner ourselves next pod.
I don't know it on the top of my head. Yeah.
It's a big one too.
It's a big one. Yeah. It's great. Brad Pitt is just great.
Cool. That's like what's one of those I have to watch and I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah, you definitely got to see it. I know. I have a friend, Zach. He's read the novelization or the original novel
right.
as well.
Yeah, it's based off a novel, right? Okay.
And he's got a few stark contrasts as well when it comes to that. But he still loved them both. So I'm down.
Yeah,
I was like, cool.
Yeah. Spider-Man No Way Home coming back.
11 minutes of additional footage.
The more fun
stuff.
More fun stuff version.
Yeah. So I did get a ticket. And then it dawned on me. I was like, is this 11 minutes in the DVD, but I think they were posting some actual footage.
They did, yeah.
And
There was like some new footage of like Toby and Andrew and also Tom.
And
like,
Tom, yeah. So that's kind of exciting. And then of course I put a poll on social media, and 100% of the listeners that voted as of this recording said they plan to see it again.
Respect.
So hey,
bump up those numbers, you know? Bump
Exactly.
up those gross numbers.
That's what they're doing.
That's fine.
They're trying to make that
because it hit 1 billion, right?
Yeah.
Oh, they're trying to get that into top 3 because I
Top
think
3
it's
easy.
Avatar, Endgame right now,
Yeah.
and then I forget the third one.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Maybe Infinity War, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
Woo. And then of course I had to mention the poster because I got what I wanted. I wanted those 2 Spider-Man proper on an actual
Yeah.
poster, and they finally put them on there. But it's kind of funny because like Tom looks so like scared.
it's just like also all of them, all the
It's
characters possible in
everybody.
that movie are on that poster.
It's everybody, even a tiny like Betty at the bottom.
Yeah.
And she's barely in the movie, but it's fine because she's Betty and she's iconic. And then on top of that, Disney Plus Day is coming.
It is
September 8th. So,
Who knows?
I don't know. I read the article from Disney. I don't know what more to expect.
I don't even know. I mean, I know I see it coming when people post it, but I don't know what until it's happening because I'm always on Twitter.
Yeah.
So until I see like in trending where it says Disney Plus Day, I'm
Right.
like, oh, okay, I guess it's today.
Yeah, exactly. So they've released some of the films that are going to be streaming officially, which includes Thor: Love and Thunder.
Yes.
So that'll be, if you haven't seen it yet, it'll be available to stream on September 8th with the rest of the Disney content. Whether or not they'll actually have some more MCU news is the question.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if this is actually going to be the drop point for What If Season 2, or anything else that, you know, is coming down the pipeline. Like we mentioned a few things in our last episode, but like the second half of I Am Groot, for instance, like when is that coming
that's
out?
right,
and
yeah.
all that good stuff. I checked what's happening in the parks. There's nothing sensational. They just have a bunch of, like last year, they were giving away t-shirts and hats and glasses and whatever. They had the blue carpet and they rolled it out.
That's right. I remember
It
that.
was super kitschy, but it was a valiant effort on a promotional standpoint. But this year, no, it just sounds like they're just doing special food and like a blended cocktail. It's blue and, you know, whatever. But nothing too extreme. So I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe nothing too crazy. And then, of course, taking it back to our polls on social, we asked the audience which show they were more excited for, Groot or She-Hulk. Do you have an answer now? Like, of which one you actually liked more?
I'm still She-Hulk.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean, the
Yeah.
I Am Groot stuff was super. You know,
Just love
it's like
it.
it's
So
very
good.
easy to ingest. It's short.
Yeah.
You know, he's a child of 3 words.
Yes,
you know?
exactly.
But yeah, like
Yeah.
that last episode with Rocket, I was like,
It's so
this is
good.
precious.
It's so
Yeah.
precious. Yeah, audience voted. 53% were excited for She-Hulk more than Groot at 47%, which, you know, like, in all honesty, they're both incredible shows. Like, truly.
Yes.
And we'll talk about both in a bit, but yeah. Okay, so on Twitter, I have to mention this before I forget to do so. When I went to Raleigh, I mentioned on Twitter very vaguely that I had shared a private car
Yes.
with 2 voice actors.
Yes, I remember.
One of which I'm not at all familiar. The other I was very familiar with because of his line of work. And so, in short, he's the man that portrayed the Hulk and Bruce Banner in the Avengers Assemble cartoon show. And his name is Fred Tatasciore. And so he actually provides all the miscellaneous voices in I Am Groot.
Oh, the miss.
So anybody who's not Bradley Cooper or Vin Diesel, Fred is probably Fred.
That's hilarious.
And I didn't, when I was looking at the credits, because, you know, MCU,
Yeah.
PTSD, you have to watch until the end.
Yeah.
His name was like additional voices.
Yes.
Fred Tatasciore. And I was like, whoa, I shared a car with that guy twice. So from the airport
That's
into the
insane.
airport. And so I was like, oh my God, all those like sounds he was making like made more sense.
I just think of like that. I think of that one episode where Groot uncovers, what was it? Like
The little city of
civilization of like whatever. And they're just like,
Yeah. So that's Fred Tatasciore. I was like, oh my God. I know the guy that did Little Grandma Alien, like eating the leaf.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. I was like, oh my gosh. Legend. So I just had to say that because he's super cool, super talented. And yeah, so She-Hulk. Shall we talk about She-Hulk a little bit?
Oh my gosh.
So good.
Loved it.
And
I was
then-
excited. Like, it was exciting
Yeah.
to watch that.
Yeah.
Like, that first episode was
Oh.
intense.
And it was also complete, like, of course, I went in very, not low bar, but not expecting a darn thing. Like, didn't know how it was going to start out.
Yes.
Didn't have any, like, set
Yes.
theories of, like, oh, this is going to happen. And no, like, I just kind of went in.
I love how it just got straight to the point of how she became the Hulk.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah. But I also read an interview that they had saved that for like a later episode, like her background story.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and then they're like, oh, let's make
Just
it this
put
first
it.
episode.
Yeah,
and I
no.
was just like, oh, they just jump right into
Yeah,
it.
it's fantastic.
And it was like, I thought it was super interesting. Like,
Yeah.
loved it.
And it's going to be really cool because like that origin story, I know we very briefly talked about it in our Hulk episode, but the comic book version of her origin is now that we've seen it in the MCU, very different. Like theirs is not violent whatsoever, although there are just as many questions, if not more, from the MCU version.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm actually really excited to talk about her eventually.
Yeah. For sure. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just think Tatiana Maslany is just
She
like,
kills it.
so
I think
good.
my favorite part, besides the post-credit scene,
yeah.
which we'll touch
Yes.
briefly before we move on to the listener
Yes.
question, but I think my favorite part was when she turned after that test Bruce put her through.
Yeah.
And then she got out, and then Bruce was like, "It's okay, calm down,
Mm-hmm.
it's okay, girl." And then she's like, "Why are you talking to me like I'm a dog?" And she was like, and he was
Yeah.
like, and Bruce was like, "Wait, so you're not the other person? Like
Exactly.
it's just me. It's me, it's Jennifer." And he was like, "Oh, guess we can skip that part of the." I love
10 years
I
worth.
love the stark contrast between them as Hulks.
Exactly.
Where like Bruce said, he battled the other guy for 15 years.
Yeah, exactly.
Whereas Jennifer Walters is like, yeah, it's still me. I'm just, I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. Her clothes are
Yeah.
loose or
And
tighter.
like, I like how
and-
jealous Bruce was because he was like, what the, like,
yeah.
what the hell,
With
man?
his little
Like,
binder.
like I had a lullaby. Someone
Yeah.
had to knock me out. I had to
Exactly.
like
Yeah.
spend like 5 years in a gamma lab to even
Yeah.
like become the smart Hulk.
Yeah.
And then you just come in here
And she's still the same person.
yeah,
She
same
just
person,
looks different.
just hulky.
Hulky. Yeah, exactly. Right, exactly.
But I love that. I love
Yeah.
that it's a fresh take
Yeah.
of like, you know, like we've seen Bruce grow through
Yeah.
in about 2012. So it's
Even-
been 10 years. Oh my
even
God.
more than because of the film.
Oh, yes.
The other
Sorry,
two
sorry.
films. I mean,
I'm just thinking of Mark Ruffalo's run, but yes, though, yeah. But to see that growth and then to bring in his cousin and
Yeah.
she's just like, yeah, I'm still me.
so wild. It was, and honestly, I haven't rewatched it yet, but from that initial watch, I thought that the graphics were also a step up from what they officially had shown
yeah.
previously.
VFX is good.
Yeah.
I mean,
It doesn't
them on
bother
the
me.
island is basically all
Yeah.
VFX.
It genuinely doesn't bother me at all.
Yeah.
I'm not weirded out, or I don't feel like it looks awkward or the quality is bad at all, personally speaking. But I mean, that's just me. But yeah, no, I absolutely loved it. And I'm excited to get to know more of the characters. I love the fourth wall because believe it or not, you know, Jen Walters actually introduced the fourth wall before Deadpool even came along.
Nice.
So anybody who's like, oh, Deadpool did it first was like, well, actually, she had a good maybe 10 years
Yeah.
before Deadpool even introduced that.
I love that she asked or has the theories that, you know, everyone thinks, you know,
Yeah.
the whole, is Captain America a virgin?
I mean,
And then it just carried on throughout the whole episode.
she's so funny. And she's so funny. I'm not familiar with her work. So,
Yeah.
So
Same.
it's such a refreshing take for me because I'm being introduced to her as an actress as well as
Which is how I fall in
Jen
love with
Walters.
most actors in the MCU.
Yeah.
Like when I see them for the first time, and I'm like, oh, what else have they been in? And then
Yeah.
I realize they've been in like other projects that I've
Yeah.
seen. I just never like paid attention,
Yeah.
and I'm like, oh wow.
Do you
Okay.
Do you know any of her work beyond Orphan
Oh
Black?
my god, I looked it up. So there's this one like movie or that they were talking about, but I forget the name of it. But yeah, she kills it.
She's so good.
That
Yeah.
ending conversation in the post credits
I love
kills
it.
me.
Oh
I was
my
like,
gosh.
oh, Marvel went there.
They went
Love
there.
that.
Yeah, they're pushing a bit of a boundary by but staying in the realm of a Marvel feel. Still,
Yeah.
It still feels like Marvel.
Yeah.
And yeah, I really enjoyed the writing. I thought it was so good. Yeah, I mean, what more can I say?
And my favorite part about the post-credit scene is Chris Evans literally the next morning tweeting about
I
it.
know, with nothing more than emojis.
I know. He was just
And
like,
hashtag
he was like,
She-Hulk.
well, he's like, I'm not gonna say anything,
Yeah, right.
but
And Dan Slott even tweeted about it too, and he was like, what did he say? He put like Peggy Carter at the end of She-Hulk, or reacting to the end of She-Hulk, and it was like Peggy shooting.
oh yeah,
Steve
from the first Avenger.
from the first Avenger, yeah.
I
And
love
was
that
like,
Dan Slott is also super like
super
involved
duper.
and tweeting about it.
He loves
I know there's like a lot
everything.
of talk like with Marvel,
Yeah.
with like the original creators and stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if they pay them, how much they pay them
Yeah.
for using their IP or that they created, but if Dan Slott is tweeting about it constantly and praising Jessica Gao,
Yes.
the writer,
Yes.
head writer,
Yeah.
doing something right.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And I believe Dan did a few runs as well back in the day.
Yes.
Yeah.
I forget what else he's
yeah.
done, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, yeah. Big old Spider-Man.
Spider-Man, that's right,
Spider-Man
sorry.
is a big one. Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
Iron Man, I think also. Yeah. Ren and Stimpy back in the day. That was my very, very, very first comic book. Yeah. So that's super
I'm excited. And it's 8 episodes?
I believe so.
That's what I
Is it?
saw, and I was like, oh.
Oh, so we get 2 more than usual.
I was like, all right, sick. I'm
Yes.
not complaining. They
Oh,
got to
I'm so
keep
ready.
it going until
Love it.
until Black Panther, you know?
Until Black-
Just
yeah,
elongate
exactly. Woo! And then, yeah, of course, we're recording just before a new episode, so we'll have more to chat about,
Yeah.
of course, in the coming weeks. Yeah, so until then, I mean, yeah, be sure to shout us out on social media who you want to hear about next. Groot and She-Hulk are both candidates for our upcoming character studies, so let us know who you want to hear about. With that, we're just going to tackle some listener questions. We got quite a few, so I wanted to make sure that we got through them all, and I'm sure, knowing Jeff and I, we can talk for days, literally.
Yes, but we will catch ourselves.
Yes, absolutely. And so the first question is actually one that I had missed from our Kamala Khan episode, courtesy of Captain Cheese.
Caesar.
Who asked or stated, big Kamala fan. Y'all prefer her as an Inhuman or MCU mutation? Thinking face.
I feel like you have a better like insight into that.
I mean,
because you've seen both.
We talked about this very briefly in the episode when we were doing our contrasts, at least. But in all honesty, I actually kind of like the MCU mutation.
Yeah.
I think, because here's the thing. People hear mutation, immediately correlate it to X-Men. Just by her having a mutation or being a mutant does not necessarily mean the next time we see Kamala, she's going to be in red and blue or yellow and blue. Like, she's not going to be an X-Man. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like people just immediately leapt so quickly.
I love that the word mutant, like the
Yeah.
way that Fox just owned that.
Yeah.
Just they're like they made it so like taboo for other studios to say it.
To even
and
say
now
it.
that like
Yeah.
they got bought
Yeah.
by now it's just like, oh, like Disney can use that word now. And
Exactly.
so when they hear it, so now whenever there's a Marvel Disney project,
Yeah.
they hear the word mutant, they're like, what?
Exactly.
And the X-Men 97 theme song plays.
Exactly. Yeah, and see, and of course, there's that, right? Like, there's that hint that the X-Men. But I don't necessarily think that means she's an X-Man. Like, no, mutant.
means she's a mutant.
That's how powerful the brand is. And so I kind of like the MCU mutation, if only because the contrast that we mentioned in the episode that Mr. Fantastic is so well known for many of those attributes.
Yes.
That by kind of enabling her with this quote unquote mutation of it, it's almost like it's really drawing her independent of that whole comparison.
Yeah.
Because it's not quite like Carol. Carol doesn't work like that. Like it's not the same power, you know? And so it's really true to like what Kamala is and how Kamala is as a superhero. I don't know that I prefer either. I do like the lore that comes with the Inhuman lineage and everything that relates to that. And because they truly are like another class of the Marvel Universe families, you know what I mean? Like Fantastic Four is one thing, and you know, and the X-Men are another thing, and the Avengers and all that stuff. But then when you bring in the Inhumans, like truly, like there's another like level of sophistication that comes with that name that I think really kind of Kamala kind of breaks that stigma of how Inhumans are quote unquote supposed to be or
and it's the
represented
MCU.
as.
Let them start a new their own. Like doesn't necessarily mean that they're trying to overtake the comic origins and like they're trying to erase that. It's just this works better for the MCU.
Yeah, exactly.
So let's just ride with it. You know, and after no disrespect to the Inhuman show. I mean, it is what it is. It didn't become as successful as maybe they thought. And they're like, okay, well,
we shaved Medusa's 2 million hair off.
Shoot. So it's just like, all right, well, let's just. I'm like, all right, we got Fox, so let's set up this mutant trajectory
for sure.
It's gonna take time. Just let them, let them do their thing. But so I'll say, mutant. Like, I know Feige. In my opinion, I don't know. But
do you know Kevin Feige?
But I feel like he really wanted, like, he was really pushing for mutants in the MCU. And it was really hard for him to like teeter around, especially like you saw it in Age of Ultron when they said like we have it enhanced in the field. Yeah. And so for him to be like, okay, finally, I can just use this freaking word now.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Let's do this. Let's pivot. Let's see what we can do. You know, boom, multiverse saga. Another 4 years, 3-4 years. Right? Yeah. Jesus.
Woo. Yeah. So that's. I hope that answers your question, Caesar. RIJ143 asks, do you think Morbius is going to show up in another movie? Jeff is just. Are you okay?
I am giving the most unbiased.
Is it Morbin time?
Dude, come on, that's catchy. Like, say what you want about the film. That's like
pretty good.
I would bank on that also.
For
like,
sure,
come on,
100%.
even whether you're getting making fun of or people are laughing with you.
So
that is amazing.
It's so good. Like, I don't care what anybody says. Although I will say, I'm waiting to see a Power Ranger Morbius hybrid at a convention. Like, I'm waiting for it.
Someone should,
please,
I'm
God.
surprised no one has.
No one. I've not seen it yet. And if I have, like, if somebody's done it,
like literally all you gotta do is have a
picture.
Vampire face and then wear a Power Rangers costume.
Exactly. You could be the Red Ranger. You could be the Black Ranger. And just boom, be Morbius on the top.
And just have like,
my God,
a sign
Morbin
that
time.
says it's a Morbin time.
Oh my God. You don't even have to say anything.
That's true too.
People would be like, excellent.
Do I think so?
Do you think Morbius is going to show up in another movie? Can I plead? I'm going to plead the fifth with this one.
Yeah, I had to plead the. That's why I had to plead the fifth.
I'm just going to plead the fifth.
I have to honestly plead the fifth.
But
listen to our Morbius episode and hear our thoughts on it.
Sure, including that awesome introduction.
Yeah.
By Michael Morbius himself.
Yeah,
yeah.
Listen to it. If you have certain thoughts on the film. Yeah. I'm sure the way we discuss it, I'm not to toot our own horn. Yeah. But we are incredibly unbiased.
I agree.
Yes.
I agree. And that is, of all topics,
good things, bad things about the movie, which is almost every movie. Like, I have bad things to say about other Marvel movies also.
For sure. 100%. Yeah. Plead the fifth. I'm so sorry, our RIJ. Hopefully that suffices. Leslie Smith asks, what do you think about Kamala being the first confirmed mutant for this MCU? Do you think this will be the gateway for the X-Men to return to the MCU? Also, where does Kamala's bangle, which may be of Kree origin, fit in?
Okay, so we kind of answered part of this from the first question from Caesar. Mm-hmm. Being the first confirmed mutant.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't mind it. Like I said, it's setting something up bigger than what we think. I know everyone, like once you hear the word mutant, or when we heard that first confirmation in the show, everyone, you know, started writing with their theories, and they're like, well, this XYZ, well, how can this if A, B, you know?
Do you for sure think she is a mutant, or do you think that's a red herring of sorts?
Well, the way Bruno like said it and like brought it up, you know, like there's something like, there's something in your genes, like a mutation, and it's like, okay, you probably could have used another word if you wanted, right? Like, come on, like that was very intentional. So I want to say yes. My gut says yes, and until they prove that me wrong, in the Marvels coming out next year,
July 2023.
Yeah, we'll see. As being a gateway, I think, I don't know if it'll be a gateway for specifically the X-Men, but, you know, I guess it rumbles that idea. I don't know.
Yeah,
because I feel like pop culture, like right now, like X-Men is so embedded a certain way. Like the X-Men are like, they have this kind of like, I don't know, like aura, this certain aura. So when you think of X-Men, who do you think? You think of like Fantastic Four. You think of, I'm sorry, or Wolverine and like those movies, you know?
Yeah.
But then to combine them like within the MCU, it's kind of just like, I don't know, because you have such beloved characters that have played those mutants before.
Right.
So.
Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily say gateway. I would say she could be a catalyst.
Yeah.
Gateway is a stronger word, I think.
Yes.
Catalyst, I think, fits a little better because, like, she serves a purpose of why they might come in, but she's not going to be, like, the end-all, be-all of... She's going to spearhead this next chapter that becomes the X-Men chapter. Like, I don't think it's like that. Yes. I think she's very much a Marvel, and maybe they'll be drawn to her by proxy, but they're going to catapult themselves. And they already have, just by that little guitar riff. And just by using the word M, M word.
The M word, yes.
You already know that they've done it for themselves. It really almost had nothing to do with Kamala other than that she has a mutation. Yeah. You know? And so, I don't know. I
wouldn't say gateway like you said, but it stirs the pot.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it's like throwing one ingredient in this humongous boil, you know? And you're like, okay, what's going on here? You're like, well, you'll find out once I'm done adding all these ingredients. Exactly. And once everything comes together in the multiverse saga, which makes things even more endless.
Right.
You know, it's just like...
Well, yeah, and that's exactly why, you know, for the rest of her question, where does Kamala's bangle, which may be of Kree origin, fit in? See, there's another layer. Well,
it's Kree origin, and it was found in a 10 rings.
In a 10 rings temple.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like, so there are all these elements that are being pulled from different places, and so it's kind of like, well, they're throwing all these things and Easter eggs at us, but at the heart of it, I think they're really just going to concentrate on the cosmic power. And then expand on the Kree stuff. And then there's some link to the 10 rings. And like we've mentioned in the Ms. Marvel episode, you know, about how that is probably the stinger at the end of the Shang-Chi film. And how they're probably related in some fashion. And I would sooner say that than I would say her and the X-Men happening.
You know who's the connector in all of this?
Who's that?
Wong.
The Wong verse.
Wong. He's been in every single project.
That is super true. Oh my gosh. Can you imagine?
I was genuinely shocked when I saw him in the She-Hulk teasers. Yes. I was just like,
what are you doing in here?
What's going on here?
So he might even have a bigger part than any of these folks, really.
He's getting the bag. He's signing contracts for multiple projects.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Heck yeah, man.
I'd do the same thing.
Yep.
But
where does so I think we talked a little bit about the bangle in Ms. Marvel as well.
Yeah.
In that, you know, like there was this whole thing with Inhumans and the Kree and the Skrulls and, you know, Secret Invasion.
It's tough
and then Secret Wars, and so it's kind of like
all these questions are valid for sure.
Yeah.
But it's also just kind of like, I mean, this is just coming from like my point of view. It's like you can't explain everything.
Yeah.
In a series.
Yep.
Sure you can, but obviously with the restrictions, 6 episode, whatever. But you want to just tell the story, the character story straight to the point. Sometimes, you know, let things breathe for a moment. But because of those stingers kind of thing, we're able to have these conversations.
Yeah.
So I say, just let it ride. I think we'll figure out soon enough. I know there's definitely some like stones unturned sometimes in the Marvel universe, but the bangle, I think, is a very, very big stone that cannot be left
unturned.
Yeah. Especially, you know, the 10 Rings origin that we, at the end of Shang-Chi, then we have this and the 10. Yeah. So it's like, everything's connected. Yeah. Everything's going to have a reason why. And then, I don't know, whatever's going through that mood board of Kevin Feige. I don't know.
The Charlie Day
you gotta, you kind of just gotta trust it. And if you don't, well then, that's, you know, it's your problem. Yeah. But you just gotta trust it, and hopefully like it steers in a very positive direction.
I do think we will get more answers on the Kree tie-in and the 10 Rings tie-in before we even get a whiff of X-Men. Yeah. But I am happy to be corrected on that. Like I would love to see it otherwise, but I do think that we're going to see that first. So that's not even
the first 10 years of Marvel, I will say, spoiled a lot of people.
Oh, for sure.
And then ever since the multiverse stuff got like introduced, people are just like craving more. You know, they're just like, give me. Exactly. Why can't you give this to me in 2 weeks? Yeah. Type of thing. You know, like,
and then also simultaneously being like, there's too much.
Yeah. You're showing too much. How come you didn't talk about panel C in comic number 125? The first and it's like in the comics, they did not, and it's like, dude,
no. Yeah, like the cute Yelena Belova gift. No.
Like,
yeah. Well, we have a fun question from Super Fanboy Guy. If you could add any one character from any intellectual property to the MCU, who would it be? Any.
Like any?
Any. Smurfs.
Oh.
You got it.
That's
Simpsons.
Interesting. That's super interesting.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it's closer to reality than ever.
Like, what do I even
I totally snorted just
watch? Listen, like, wow.
Yeah.
To the MCU.
I already know who I would add.
You go first.
Okay.
I need time.
I don't even know if you're going to get these references.
Okay.
But my initial thought, and I'm taking
I have mine, but yes.
Really?
I just thought about it
Really?
right now. Yeah.
So I'm taking it back to 91, 92 as well. Speaking of X-Men, but not X-Men, Jim Lee, who's very, very, very responsible for 1992 X-Men and the X-Men that we know and love. He created a side comic with Image Comics called Wildcats.
Okay.
And they also had a cartoon in the 90s. Yeah. It wasn't nearly as popular as the other titles, but it did exist. They were and Cats stood for Covert Action Team. Okay. So it was Wild Covert Action. I can't speak. You get it. Yeah. And anyway, I love that superhero team because it was kind of strange, a little bit of everything. That would be interesting to see in the MCU. But then I immediately had a second thought, and I think this is my second thought. Oh, and a third one just came to me. Nice. A second thought would be there was this comic / also TV show on MTV way back in the day, Liquid Television, called The Maxx. Okay. MAXX. Okay. And I think that was Dark Horse or Image, I'm not sure. But he's like a big brooding purple monster thingy kind of alien. He had like yellow gloves and like sharp tipped edges, and he was like constantly brooding. Very interesting comic book. He used to live, I think there was something about him living in another it was slightly multiverse, or he would like recess into another reality type of thing. Got it. And there were these little things called the Ips or something. They're like little black, cute but annoying, like almost venom like monsters. Okay. And he used to just battle them all the time. And then my third answer that just occurred to me, Sandman. Have you watched Sandman at all?
I haven't.
Oh,
I haven't. I've heard good things.
It's so great. I think I'm on episode 7. I haven't. It's great. It's really great. Very well written. And the comic book itself, the storyline, it's from creator Neil Gaiman. It's like a dense, much more, the storytelling is just something out of this world.
Yeah.
And so to see that translate, especially with the way that Netflix has produced it, if they could translate that over or integrate the world somehow, that would be kind of wild. I mean, it is another level because it's about gods and like death, dream, and desire, and all these elements that we deal with. Even Lucifer is in that show.
Oh shoot!
Yeah, so we're going to that kind of peak of religious and spirituality, but it's pretty fun. Who is yours?
Rick and Morty.
I love that's your.
Rick and Morty.
Like, yeah, deep Neil Gaiman. You're like Rick and Morty.
Rick and Morty because
MCU pickle Rick.
One,
that
like,
would be amazing. Actually,
he's the multiverse freaking king,
Yeah.
like Rick Sanchez, C-138, Rick Sanchez, smartest man in the universe, smartest Rick in the universe.
Oh my gosh!
And then he's just like, his humor is so just like,
Yeah.
you,
Yeah.
like, you know, like,
Yeah.
hell yeah. And he would just tell all those, like, here, shut the fuck up. Like,
Yeah.
no, you're not, you don't, no.
Okay. Follow-up question. Who would you cast as Rick and Morty?
Oh, wow. Now that is tough.
But did they not have a commercial where they pulled Christopher Lloyd?
Yes.
Yeah. Would you do Christopher Lloyd or somebody else?
I can't imagine Christopher. I know Christopher Lloyd looks the part,
Yeah.
but maybe this is just me doubting him because all I know him as is as Back to the Future.
Yeah.
But him being like a
Yeah.
drunken uncle, like I don't see it, but obviously he can obviously prove me wrong.
Yeah.
Oh my God, you know who would make? I think now I think about it. I think a young Matthew Broderick would have played a great Morty.
Ooh. Yeah. I can see that. I can see that for sure.
Like young. Like,
yeah.
Matthew Broderick,
Yeah, 100%.
you know, because he looks that part with like the, you know,
Yeah.
like I think of Matthew Broderick from like Ferris Bueller's Day Off and stuff. So
100%.
I think that.
Yeah.
But uncle wise,
Yeah.
in today's like acting scope,
Yeah.
wow, that is tough. I don't know.
Really?
I really don't know.
Comedic performance of that
Maybe
level too.
like
what about Spider-Ham?
John Mulaney
John Mulaney. What about John Mulaney?
to play as Morty?
Yeah.
That could work. That's funny. Yes, but
Maybe?
I would want like a I would
I
want
don't
like
know
a
the character
kid.
well enough. Yeah.
I would want a kid for sure.
Yeah. Or Rick. What about Rick?
Rick. I'm thinking of the first thing that came to mind was what's that guy's name? He's the brother in A Star Is Born. He plays Bradley Cooper's brother. I forget his name, but he had like this like deep like voice.
Oh, really?
But if you just like, pitch it up a little bit,
Yeah,
act
yeah.
a little drunk, yeah.
Yeah.
But
Oh, boy.
Rick and Morty would be hilarious, just because.
That's
yeah.
such a great answer.
Imagining like just portal gunning everywhere,
Yeah.
but it's like
That's
Rick meeting
freaking
like
hilarious.
America Chavez.
Oh my gosh.
Because she can travel the multiverse, her powers.
Yeah.
But then Rick is like, that's stupid. Like, what? Doesn't make any sense. Like, Morty, get a load of this. Like, oh my God, I have a portal. You know? And then Morty is just like, oh yeah, I don't know, man. Like that's a little much. Like you gotta, like, oh geez, Rick. Like, oh
What's
God.
happening? Okay, Rick and Morty versus happening. Incredible. Ariel Tima, Patreon patron, asks, what is your favorite thing to come out of Marvel?
Wow.
That's a tough question.
Wow.
For me. But yeah, could you even come close to answering that?
Oh my God. Like movie wise or anything?
Anything.
I think
Pretty broad.
one of my favorite things that's come out of it, and it's done pretty well, is kind of the concept of like of crossovers. Like team ups. So we saw that for the first in the like obviously the Avengers. Like I remember the Avengers being so like new.
Yeah.
Like there's no way you can get these actors to act in a big movie, let alone you know
Ensemble.
six like pretty well known actors. You know, and then it's like they did it.
Yeah.
And it's like okay, there's no way they can do it again. Age of Ultron, and you're like, oh crap, you know?
Yeah.
And they're like, no, there's no way they're gonna do it again. Civil War.
Yeah.
And then you're like, okay, sure. All right. Sure, you got that out of the way.
Yeah.
Can't do that again. Infinity War. And they were like, okay, yeah.
Great.
Yeah,
great.
sure.
Yeah,
that's great.
cool.
You know, you split them up, whatever, two different. Okay, you can't do it again. You. Endgame. Like all on one screen. And you're like, oh, shit.
Yeah. I'll give you that for sure.
They definitely mastered like the whole teaming up thing. Because like seeing that many A-list actors on one screen is just super unheard of, you know?
Yeah.
Like let's think of other movies. Ocean's 11, like Ocean's Series.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
You have George Clooney, the Matt Damons, you know, like Ben, you know, that's like, whoa, how do you get how do you get multiple actors who are definitely worth paying like 5 million, 10 million each in a movie? That's a lot because movies are expensive, you know? So for them to kind of like do that multiple times and still continue to do it.
I mean, I'm going to double down on that. This is not my answer, but I'm going to double down on that because not only are they pulling these now existing well-known actors into the fray, but they're also portraying characters from the last, 75 whatever plus years, all on one screen, which was absolutely unheard of. Like
That's hard.
That's difficult, very difficult.
Yeah.
And especially, and I think this is unfortunately like something not only have we talked about before, but something that is actually quite harder than Marvel Studios may make it look, because as we see, other franchises attempt to do it.
It's hard, man.
It doesn't work. And so, not that you have to go through all the thorough storytelling as Marvel or Marvel Studios does, but and I say this so often, but I honestly, there are so, just this escalation that you just mentioned, even that, I was like, there's no way they'll get the Avengers on screen. Are you telling, what? No way. And then they did it. And then they did Ultron.
They did it
and then they
2
did
times, 4 times,
then
10
Civil War.
times.
Even if it's not the same Civil War, they still had the teams on there. They still brought Spider-Man in. They still did a proper telling of that story of Spider-Man.
And that's not even getting them on the same screen, which is hard enough. It's negotiating of money and contracts, and then boom, not even after that. After you agree on something, now it's scheduling.
Yeah.
Because these films have a timeline and a deadline. You know, so to have actors on set for a month, 2 months at a time, however, that's a lot because most of these actors, they're successful actors, so they probably have other projects that they're signed on for, so they have to make time. They're flying back and forth, so reshoots maybe, and like so finding even just the time alone is tough.
Yeah.
And and because Marvel doesn't do those long contracts anymore, now it's even harder because all these actors are like huge now. Like they're known. They can pick and choose their roles, I think, in my opinion. Yeah. So it's like, well, okay, well, I can do that sequel or whatever for that appearance, but it's like, okay, well, I have this other project that I want to do because I want to also flex my more creative muscles, not just stick in this role, which is totally fine. So that like timing, scheduling, budgeting, that's just, shout outs to line producers and producers and all the showrunners, because that is tough. Yeah.
Do you have a favorite like movie? Well, not movie, but like an element or a character or a suit, or is there something in your top 3 Marvel things that have ever existed, MCU or otherwise, that you're just like, that is one of my favorite things?
Well, I think what I love more about MCU, and this should go for literally any other story or movie, is it should all be like, we should care about these characters. So I love that most to all of the movies, they do, like, there's an emotional character arc. It's not just all action, because I feel like most people back in the day, they saw superhero action movies, they just wanted to see the action, like they just want to see like their favorite superheroes go at it, battle, boom, big action set pieces. Like imagine Civil War or Endgame, but it was only those fight scenes you see. Yeah. Like, but then you don't get to see like I don't know, like these character moments between like when Tony Stark died, you see those character moments between, it was like literally that Tony Stark death scene. You had character moments with Rhodey, with Spider, with Tom Holland, and with Pepper.
Yeah.
But why we felt those goodbyes so hard was because they set it up 12 years.
Yeah.
That's why, and everybody, and all three of those characters reacted how their character would. Rhodey knew. He was like, okay, like, yeah. Spider-Man, he's a kid. He was like my mentor. He's like, we did it. You're my mentor. Like, come on, you're good, right?
Yeah.
Can't accept the fact that, because we get it. He's a kid. He doesn't know much what loss is other than, Uncle Ben.
Yeah.
But like, this was like his second kind of coming of Uncle Ben. And then you have Pepper, who was like, saw this coming, but we can rest now. That we don't get those moments without that decade of storytelling. So I love like the trajectory. I think I've mentioned this before. The trajectory of Tony Stark and Steve Rogers throughout all of MCU, and how their character arcs kind of like switched. They did like a full character 180. Like Tony Stark was this selfish billionaire playboy philanthropist, and he still is, but now he has like the heart and like. And just like he just has so much heart. He's like, oh, it's not about me. It's about this universe. It's about my future, this world's future, this universe even. Same thing with Steve Rogers. His thing was, I need to serve my country. I am about, whatever. I just got to fight for my country because whatever my country does, USA, is right. And you see him turn in Winter Soldier. He was like, this isn't, whoa, I don't know if I can fight for a government that's attacking innocent people, whatever. You see him flip and he starts becoming more selfish instead of selfless, because like, well, what do I want? Like I've been living for over 100 years. So I like how they focus on characters like way more than they think about like, okay, how we're gonna have this big ship comes in, they dive, but it's like, no, like, what does this mean for these characters?
I mean, similarly for me, I think I have a two-parter for this. In Marvel in general, what I've always loved about both the comic books and the films is that they build on the humanity of any one character. Yes. So it's not about the heroisms. It's kind of like what you just said, where they're not so much thinking about the big explosions and how dramatic a scene can look or feel. But they're concentrating more on the story that's being told of the hero, the person behind the hero. And that's why a character like Peter Parker or Steve Rogers really does hit so many people in all the right ways, because they're relatable. They're personable.
Even Kamala.
Yeah, exactly. And they truly do have this way of making you fall in love with characters or sympathize with characters and even sometimes root for characters that are either anti-heroes or villains, and they have purpose in one way or another. And so I think, in the many, many decades that the company and the writers and creators have been around, that's something I've always valued and admired from their books. Not to say that it's not being done elsewhere, but their characters, I just like, there's something about their characters. Like that is just incomparable to other things. But when it comes to favorite thing, if we were to like utilize the word as like a thing, a concept, or a whatever, I would have to say this is going to be this is like a big drop of an answer for me. I'm going to say my favorite thing, and I'm probably going to change my answer almost immediately, to come out of Marvel, are the X-Men. My most favorite thing in the world, because I think, as we like just said like 5 minutes ago, there's something about the X-Men that they were able to tap into such a unique idea and also concept, in that, when I was little and I discovered the X-Men for the first time, what initially drew me to them was the idea of you can be accepted despite being different. You don't have to be like everybody else. Everybody is special in one way or another. maybe not everybody looks like you. Maybe you look a little different. Maybe you're weird. Maybe you're cool. Or
100%.
Whatever. And it was kind of like that sort of concept, I feel, is something that some people just missed the boat on. You know?
Oh, yeah.
And it was such a teaching lesson for me as a kid growing up. And it kind of really instilled in me that it was like acceptance is key. And, you know, like trying to understand people was key, and learning all those kinds of really strong foundations through like a comic book or a cartoon was like almost weird, but I guess it's like the perfect scenario, right? Like it's kind of like the ultimate stories that they want to teach children, but it doesn't always happen. And so the fact that they not only did that, but then they also introduced so many core and key characters and some iconic like teams, and they've just had such a long run, and all these, like, we haven't even, like, honestly, like Civil War and Endgame, Infinity War, all that stuff is like gigantic.
Yeah.
But like X-Men, that's like a Tuesday. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
No, I totally, yeah, that makes sense.
They have so many things that happen in their world. And, you know, like we've seen in these Fox films that aren't nearly as good as they could have been. The Phoenix stuff is gigantic. It's enormous.
Yeah.
And
I remember watching like X-Men The Last Stand.
Yeah.
And I remember bringing that movie.
Yeah.
And just seeing it, and I was like, wow,
Like
this movie is like huge.
It's tremendous. And so like that was almost like a baby Infinity War, right? Like Phoenix dusted Charles Xavier in the first 15 minutes of the film.
Jean Grey was like,
she was like
goodbye. On a mission.
Yeah. And so to imagine that on a grander scale where it did affect people in the comics as broadly as it did, like they were really bringing, like even in all the Infinity War stuff, like before, you used to have Cyclops and Wolverine like peppered throughout, and thanks to all these stupid rights that used to exist that no longer exist.
I know.
We didn't get that kind of satisfaction and payoff in the MCU, but moving forward, you know, like, yeah, they're going to bring such a presence to the films that isn't going to necessarily take, you know, like replace characters that we've lost, but it's going to expand it in such a way that I think people are just going to lose their minds because it's going to be quote unquote proper, right? And yeah, I would say X-Men. And I love the animated series, like one of my favorite things. And like looking, even as an adult, like watching it again is like, dude, this is still so good. And episodes, I can still recite episodes from memory because of that show. Yeah, it's bonkers. And so, hopefully, I mean, speaking of Disney Plus Day, maybe they'll have more X-Men news, or actually have a trailer for the new series for X-Men 97. So I would absolutely love that. But and then if we're talking MCU, that's tough. I have to say, I do love how they've brought, they've manifested all of the, like the things that we never could imagine, right? Like even Vision himself, which we talked about in his episode, and all the details in his like optics and the aesthetic of some characters, right? And the props, right? The props and the mechanisms that they've brought to life.
Just giving the world like more tangible things.
Yes, exactly.
That you only had a concept of in drawings and comics, you know?
Exactly.
And now the fact, you know, obviously with technology
upgraded,
and like you can build these in CG and all that, and the fact that we can like see it and like see what it looks like, imagine in 3D, it's like, wow.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And so like I wanted to give a shout out to Russell Bobbitt, who is the MCU prop guy. Essentially, he's the guy responsible for making a Godslayer, for making a Mjolnir, for making Captain America's shield, and bringing those elements to life is like, truly, it's like it amplifies what's already such a strong foundation, I think. So there's my super geeky nerdy answer.
You know what I do want to see?
That?
Since we're talking about X-Men and everything, I want to see, and we talked about this too before, I want to see like a Scarlet Witch,
House of M,
Jean Grey, or Phoenix, like face off
showdown.
But I also want to see,
didn't we talk about
we
who
did
would win?
Because I want because I also want to see that panel.
Yeah.
There's a panel that I've seen of Scarlet Witch saying "No more mutants."
Yes, that's from House of M.
Yeah. I want to see that on screen. What if that's the next time we see Wanda?
That would be crazy. I would be down for that.
Like mutants
though.
get introduced. It's like, okay, 2-3 years go by.
Right.
And then, mutants are established. And then boom, Wanda comes back. It's like, fuck you guys. I'm out. What's up? Like, I'm back.
Just like, peace.
Like, I'm back. No more mutants. And you're like, oh, shit.
Yeah. No, for sure. I mean, yeah, I think that would be an amazing and also understandable segue for them.
I mean, it's kind of like alpha battle. Like, what else?
Yeah.
That's like top of the food chain.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, there's,
Exactly. No, you're right though, right? Like I remember when we first got that question, was it Caesar? I don't know. Somebody asked that question.
Possibly.
It might have been Caesar, but yeah, I mean, there's so many scenarios. Like my immediate thought is I could just imagine like Dark Phoenix like clutching Wanda in its hand and just being like poof.
Yeah.
And she just dissipates. But I could also see Wanda just being like, haha, just, like the surprise bitch, you thought like this didn't last to me.
Yeah.
And coming back.
And I know Captain Marvel, she's a powerful tool and everything, but I mean, Wanda is just straight up dark magic.
She's dark magic, and then Phoenix is pure like universal cosmic entity energy.
It's a 1A 1B type of deal.
Exactly.
Like if that was like the end of the multiverse saga.
Yeah.
and then Kang's just in the middle of it, just trying to
exactly.
He's like, what's up? Hello?
Exactly.
What are you guys doing?
Yeah.
But that I would love to see that.
Yeah. Okay, so this is the last question, but it is comprised of many a question.
All right.
So we received this from patron Nats. This is so funny. Okay, I'm gonna read it all in one go, and then we'll go from there. So Nats says, "Okay." 2 exclamation marks.
Okay.
Crying, laughing face.
Okay.
You said America is the only one who can traverse the multiverse, but is the Watcher also in that category? Can he see her moving in between? And, in parentheses, not really a comment for the pod, but when Strange said something like, America, you're the only one who could save the world, did it hit a little weird for the non-American viewers? It hit a little weird from the non-American viewers' perspective. Did you, as Americans, pick up on it? Is it as meta as it sounded? And finally, can we have an Anson Mount / Haley Atwell Marvel series? I think it's what we deserve. Heart eyes. There were many exclamations and question marks in that entire thing.
Okay.
Nats, you're wonderful. Thank you so much. So first question.
I'll start with the Americans part.
Okay, go for it.
I didn't pick that up.
I did.
Oh, you did?
Oh, 100%.
I was just like,
the first
that's her
time,
name?
Because he was like, America. What does he say? America, only you can... What?
Oh,
is that what he said?
okay.
Yeah, you're the only one
who
can
save the
only you
universe,
can save the
something
world.
like that.
Only you can save the world.
I didn't think about that because
I did.
I didn't
I
pick
totally
up on
did.
it.
I think it was his inflection.
But it's also very like American.
Yeah.
Very boastful.
Yeah.
But I didn't really.
Yeah.
I didn't. I'll just nip that in the bud. I didn't see it. I didn't.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
love Xochitl Gomez. So I'm like, yeah.
Yeah.
She can save the freaking
sure.
universe because she's the only person in this universe that can traverse the multiverse. So
no, I definitely I found it a little meta at first, but after that I was like, whatever. Because same reason. Sochi is like the best. So I was like, whatever. America.
I love her.
America. Yeah.
The Watcher. That is a great question because
can the Watcher? Yeah, is the Watcher also in the category? Yeah, and I would imagine he can see her moving in between. And I also think that he's like he knows her purpose. So therefore,
yes, that thing too. Like I think the Watcher knows how powerful he is, but he knows that's not what he's like. I can't. Like I can, but I can't.
Yeah,
I'm just a Watcher. I just have to let things happen as they are. If I do, then the whole multiverse gets messed up. But obviously, if evil Doctor Strange is messing things up, then I think he can.
Yeah.
See her moving in between, but like you said, it's just that's his job.
Yeah. Exactly.
You saw how hard he struggled to be like, do I intervene? I can't. I literally can't until he was literally forced to intervene.
Yeah. And I wonder, I wonder if even not that America was introduced as a character in season 2 of What If, but I wonder if for a 3rd season or even if briefly for an episode, if she pops in and he like introduced America Chavez, traverser of the multiverse. Like I could already hear him saying it, like he understands and knows what she does, and that's it. That's he's just observing her, and she's serving her purpose.
I think the Watcher knows who she is.
For sure.
He's just letting it happen.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree too. And then, the final question. Can we have an Anson Mount Haley Atwell Marvel series? That's interesting. I wonder, because Anson is now on Star Trek. He's playing Captain Kirk, I believe.
Oh, in the Picard series?
In the new one. There's a new
there's going to be a new
series.
one? Oh my God. I do not geek out to Star Trek.
No, I don't either, but I was in Hall H.
Respect.
Yeah, and so he was on that panel. And so, I don't know. I would like to see him back as Black Bolt.
They should make that suit that was in Multiverse of Madness a Halloween costume. I don't know if I'd wear it, but like that, after seeing that and then seeing some clips from the Inhuman show, I'm like, wow, they gave him a humongous upgrade.
Dude, 100%. Well, yeah, because I feel like, again, I think we mentioned this in Doctor Strange, maybe. Just the parameters in which they like made the Inhuman show, like not only was like budget was obviously a factor, and they blew it all on CGI of her hair that they then cut in the first episode. Yeah. But I also feel like it was such a moment of like, oh, we have to focus on the faces. Yeah. The faces. Oh, don't cover up the money face. Like, sure, whatever. But also like they just didn't care to detract from the comic book versions or that were supposed to come to life, you know? And so like going back to my answer about the favorite thing Marvel, it is kind of like, like there is something, there's a specific way that the studio releases characters versus the shows, or at least previously, the non-Disney Plus shows, where it was almost like they were just cutting corners and they were just like, yeah, well, sure, that's Black Bolt. And it's like, he doesn't look anything like Black Bolt. Yeah. He's not doing Black Bolt stuff except for not talking and occasionally shattering something. Yeah. But again, which is crazy to think that even in an alternate universe, the Black Bolt we saw in Multiverse of Madness, no pun intended, blew away the previous iteration of him. Yeah. Because it was just so well done. Yeah. So what if he dies, or what if he's not of that
the amount of power like that he like projected, you're like, oh, he's not to be messed with.
Yeah. And saw like the suit for literally a minute and 10 seconds, if even, and it eradicated an entire season.
I love that.
Yeah. So I mean, I would love to see him in an Inhumans something. Sure. I don't know what it would be, but I would love to see that. Haley Atwell, I mean, I'll sing her praises for days. I'm not going to say no to her. I would love to see a proper Captain Marvel, Agent Carter, or Captain
Britain?
Carter.
Sorry, that's so Captain Carter.
But you're not wrong. You're not wrong. Yeah. or a Captain Carter IRL show. Yeah. Oh my gosh, I would die for that. Yeah.
Like seeing her take on having the super soldier serum. Yeah. And do her like thing as that'd be cool. I'm not opposed to it.
Yeah. And of course, what if season 2 she is coming back, at least in animated form, so not all is lost. Yeah. It's gonna be really good. So that's more or less it.
Oh wow.
So if there's anything else you want to talk about, but otherwise, next
I'm on a She-Hulk
I know, I'm ready.
Train.
I'm just ready.
Thursday can't come.
Thursday? Oh,
it's
is it Thursday?
Yeah.
So it is Thursday. So even though they debuted it a day later, they're still keeping Thursday. Yeah. Oh, I thought they were actually.
Oh, you thought it was going to go back to
Wednesdays?
Wednesdays?
Yeah.
I mean, I can check. Yeah. But I haven't heard anything.
Yeah. Okay. No, you're right.
But I think it is
Good
Thursdays.
Point. Shucks. We'll have more to talk about next time. But speaking of next time, next up on our character studies, one and only Matt Murdock, Daredevil. At long last.
When do you think he's gonna make an appearance? Like if you had to guess what episode?
I'm gonna say next episode.
Wow.
I'm just gonna go out there and say
Andrew says 3.
But as Matt Murdock.
Oh.
As Matt Murdock.
He says 3.
Really? We have theories, Andrew and I. Andrew, biggest.
Because they haven't really gotten into the whole lawyering thing yet. They haven't got into. They touched it a little bit in the first episode. Yeah. But then Titania just comes in freaking crazy.
But yeah, given now that I know that's an 8 episode rather than 6.
I think so. Yeah, it says 8. Someone said 8, and I was like, wait.
Maybe 3. But maybe even, I'm still banking maybe the tail end of 2. Maybe. But it all depends on the theories, and I don't want to talk about those.
I will say the halfway. I think the halfway mark, whether it's a 6 episode or 8, whatever. But so yeah, if it's 6 episodes, then yes, it's 3.
Yeah.
But I think
Well, you know what your formula said. Remember, you mentioned that thing like they did with Moon Knight and everything. Episode 5. Episode 5 is always the big bang.
Yeah. But you think they're gonna wait 7 episodes?
Nah.
Yeah, not this time around. It worked for WandaVision.
No, I think they might hold it till 5. I think 5 is the magic number. Yeah, maybe not necessarily arc-wise,
okay.
but I think 5 could be it because that's almost
going
into the final arc of the show.
And it's But
yeah,
like, do they team up?
Yeah.
Obviously, they do team up. Like all the way up to the
We don't.
And maybe that leads
why
in.
is he there?
And then maybe then his arc leads into Echo.
And then Jessica Jones.
And who?
Jessica Jones. Jessica Jones.
What if that's like the surprise like cameo?
Jessica Jones.
It's another Defender.
Jessica Jones. Which we did in episode 1, number 8.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I'm ready. Defenders, baby. Let's go.
There, I'm sure. I don't know. I'm just excited to see Charlie Cox.
I know.
Like back on the grind, man. He deserved better.
Yes. But he got pretty good all around.
Yeah.
But he's coming back super strong.
Yeah, he's coming
super strong.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm rooting pumped.
Because when did after 3 seasons, right?
3 seasons
Netflix
of Daredevil,
and that was in 2000 what?
16, 17.
No, really?
He got signed in 2015, 16. We're deferring to the Daredevil expert.
Wow.
Yeah.
God.
Yeah, that's why the 5-year contract.
So he's been out of that since.
Yes,
in
that's
between
why No Way
multiverse.
Home
Wow.
was such a big deal.
No Way Home. Sorry.
That's why it's such a big deal because it was like, bro, like literally his contract with Netflix, the Daredevil contract ended like 2 weeks before that.
Before No Way Home.
Right? Oh, okay, but we can get into that.
But I
later.
remember that, yeah.
But yeah, it's a lot. It was like down to the wire, and then literally the day after that contract expired,
got it,
dude.
Disney was like, got it.
But not only that, yeah, right. But not only that, I even texted Andrew and I said, dude, the soundtracks on Spotify and everything, the branding is already swapped out. It doesn't say Netflix. It says Disney Plus. And I was like,
wow,
whoa!
that was cool. Yeah.
So fast.
Foggy was
ready.
eyeing that. He had a
a
countdown for that contract to go up. He was like, oh, Charlie, gotcha.
Yeah, exactly.
Kristen, gotcha.
Yeah, I mean, I hope so. But yeah, so yeah, that's our next
Vincent
discussion.
D'Onofrio, gotcha. He wasted no time.
No, he didn't. He knew what he was doing.
Yeah.
He knew what he was doing.
He
I can't wait.
He knows what the people want.
So give me Kristen Ritter next because that's who I want. Okay, so yeah. Again, be sure to vote or suggest our next character study options. Plenty of fish out in the Marvel Sea.
We got a lot.
Dude. I mean, I wouldn't mind going into the territory of another like straight up villain again.
Okay.
Which we haven't done in a bit.
Not opposed.
So maybe
not opposed.
Yeah, maybe we'll do that after Daredevil. But yeah, so that's the end of the show. Thanks for listening. We are Groot. Salute to Ed, Andrew, the Arachnerd, Robin, Jenny, Tyler, Andrea, Claire, Katie, Ashley, Laura, Joe, Liz, Melanie, Nats, and Ariel. Follow us on social at STRKCNTRST. And if you like what you hear, remember, please, for the love of God, review, rate, and subscribe.
Please.
And that's all, folks.
Thank you guys always, and we will see you in the next one.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye. Why does it look like a bomb went off in here?
I'm Groot.
A bomb did go off! What, why are you handing me this? What is this, more trash? Better be a written apology. Oh, look how big you are. I can't stay mad at you, can I?